Welcome back to the Dynasty Football Maniacs. So today we're going to be talking about tight ends. Me and Austin ranked out our top 10 tight ends for the NFL based on last season's results and then just overall projections moving forward of what we think they would land in a Dynasty ranking. So we're going to do it a little different today. We're going to go in reverse order, and we're going to start with the number 10 instead of the number 1 like we did in previous shows. So
Yes, sir.
we are going to start with the 10. So Austin's 10 is Michael Meyer for Las Vegas, and mine is David Njoku for Cleveland. So,
Okay.
yeah,
Well, and why is that?
Well, why do I have David
Yeah,
where
why?
he's at?
Yeah, why do you have David Njoku at 10?
Well, I'll tell you why. So, David, let's see here. He is ranked number 6 overall last year for tight end.
Mm-hmm.
That says enough. He's still young. I think he's still the main tight end at Cleveland. Would be
As of
good
right
for
now, he is.
Yeah, I believe he'll be just a good tight end moving forward. I mean, tight ends are slim. I mean, they're not slim, but they are slim. I mean, we talk about tight ends, the depth. I mean, but a lot of them don't score a whole lot of points unless you're in like a tight end friendly. Like ours is one of my league is a tight end friendly. It's a 0.5 extra on receptions, but it's not that
So,
big of a friendly that shows up that big. But
that's how mine is.
yeah, so I mean, he had 81 receptions last year, so that's 1.5 points for every 81. It's pretty good. And just on a PPR, he scored over 200 fantasy points. So for a tight end, that's pretty good. And I think he still has a couple more years in him. I mean, he's a primary target for whoever's quarterbacking. It never changes for him. And Cleveland rolls through quarterbacks.
Yeah. The crazy thing is, David Njoku actually didn't really start playing really well until Joe Flacco, of all people, came to town. Because when Deshaun Watson was on the field, David Njoku was only targeted. There's only one or two games where he was targeted well enough. It was the first 4 games he was only targeted 3 times, 4 times, and then in the Baltimore game, that's when you saw that you know this the targets went up. That game was 7. Now, if I'm not mistaken, yeah. So, and actually, Deshaun Watson wasn't even playing in that Baltimore game. It was a different quarterback. I can't remember who it was. I'd have to look that up, but
Yeah.
it wasn't even Deshaun Watson. And then next thing you know, here comes Hero Joe to the rescue. He actually came in. If I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Oh wow, he actually came in a little bit later in the year. But even so, even with Deshaun Watson, he only those first 3 games he wasn't really targeted David Njoku. But after the fact, with whoever David Njoku was playing with after Deshaun, that's when he started producing all kinds of numbers.
After
Now
week
my only
8.
yeah,
Uh,
now
uh,
my only concern is with David Njoku is okay. Obviously, Deshaun Watson, as right now on paper, is going to be their starting quarterback. Now,
yeah.
Is Deshaun Watson just going to be this, oh, well, mildly mediocre guy, and people are still wishing he was like he was in Houston, or is he actually going to change it around? That's my only concern with David Njoku. And
I don't
plus, the Browns also literally just traded for Jerry Jeudy as well, which is also going to eat into targets as well.
No, I
But
don't think it. I don't
I
think it. I honestly disagree that it's not going to eat into the tight end targets.
oh, okay.
I mean, just looking at his previous stats, even going into 2022, 21, 21, he was not so good. I mean, 22 is when he started actually producing, and he was off and on throughout the year. So just depending on the game situation. But I mean, they had Amari Cooper there. They had other good wide receivers there. And I just think as a
They did
tight
not have
end,
any other.
yeah,
The Browns just have mildly mediocre wide receivers other than Amari Cooper. I mean, you could say Odell, but
I wouldn't say that.
then again, like I said, there's an argument there. I said you could say. I didn't say that it was exactly the sexiest
Okay.
thing to say. So
All right.
don't hold me against that now.
All right. Well, okay, that was a good argument. That's a good discussion. So let's move
Right.
on to year 10. You had Michael
Michael
Mayer,
Mayer.
and I did put him in my top 10. So
So you did?
no, I did not.
Oh, you didn't?
Yeah, I mean, he didn't even hit
Okay.
my radar. I mean,
Right.
for a young rookie, he looked impressive, but other than
I
that,
mean,
he was ranked 35 out of tight ends. I mean, he barely scored. Yeah, he picked up towards the end of the season, but
well, I think, look, rookie tight ends are never sexy.
no.
It's very rare you get a rookie that just a tight end that just explodes like Sam LaPorta did this past year. So I mean, I get it. While there's a little bit of skepticism there, but I mean, I still think he had some flashes, and and with any rookie, what I really want to see in rookie is, yeah, okay, it's your rookie year. You don't have to be this, superhero right off the bat, but I want to see some flashes because if I see some flashes, that means there's hope. That there's hope for the rookie that is coming into the league. Now, if you're just like, I hate saying this, but if you're like Bryce Young and you barely see any kind of flashes, but maybe that one game. Like I saw more flashes out of Will Levis this past year than I have out of Bryce Young. Now,
And you're
but
right, he did have some flashes. I mean, he was a tight end 5 against New England, tight end 9 against New Jersey, and a tight end 8 against the Chargers. I mean, the times he did
right,
come out, and I know he's a rookie, so they didn't like just. There's a lot of tight ends in the way Vegas plays. I mean, they do a lot of blocking. Um, they did have one great tight end that had a real phenomenal season before him, but he's done left and went on, and we
talk
ain't heard
about
much
Darren
from him.
Waller.
Yeah, we ain't heard much from him. I had him for 2 years on my
Right.
team, and he did great, and then he went off the wagon again. So, I mean, for a rookie, ideally a dynasty, he's in my top 15 because he's young, and rookies don't. Tight end rookies usually don't, like you said, they don't come out like Sam LaPorta did. I mean, they're there, and if they have their little, like you said, explosions, and that's what he did, I could see him moving up in my ranks later on.
Right. I can
And
agree
then
with that.
and then so just moving on to the next one, number 9, you have David Njoku, and I put uh, George Kittle from San Francisco. Now the reason why I have George so low, let me explain.
Please do.
He's had his up and downs and injuries, and he's an older player. So if you look at my list, a lot of my top ones are younger, except for one. I think I was like hit my head, and I was thinking redraft when I put him up there.
Mm-hmm.
Because I even after I re-looked at my list, I was like, why do I have him in my list? He should be like in my maybe top 10, 11 for Dynasty. Redraft, yeah, for next year, I would have him. So we'll get to him later. He's up in my rankings. So you're
Right.
going to say, well, you got George and Travis so low, but then you got this guy way up there. What are you thinking, Ralph? And I wasn't thinking when I put him up that high. I was thinking redraft. So but I mean, for a dynasty, he'd be still good too. We'll get to him later. But George Kittle, that's why I have him so low. He's going to be in my top 10 every year. If he lands to me and I have an opportunity to pick him up at a reasonable pick, I'm going to grab him because even with his injuries, when he is playing, he is balling. So I wouldn't pass up that opportunity to have a team. And I see, I always draft late for tight ends. I'm not an upfront tight end grabber. So a lot of the people I have on my list is hard to get when I start picking a tight end. So I have to
Okay.
really juggle it around.
Okay. Well, let me ask you a question real quick. Just a quick one. Since you're talking about drafting tight ends in a draft, Okay, so if you had the opportunity, where would you draft Sam LaPorta at after the year he had?
He needs to be drafted in the first or second round, but I'm not going to be that guy that does that.
I might,
Yeah, well, there's,
I might just tickle around with it because I love me some Sam LaPorta. Not
and
biased
that's
because I
why I
have him
always
in my
lose out
dynasty
on.
or anything.
That's why I always lose out on Kelce and stuff. Usually about fourth, fifth round, I'm looking for a tight end, and maybe one of these guys in my top 10 will make it to that round, and they do. And I usually tend to take my tight ends back to back, depending on where I'm
See,
picking.
right. Well, see, I got you'll announce it later on, but I have George Kittle a little bit higher than you do because yeah, you can talk about the age. He's 30, but even with the injuries that he's sustained, even though he actually was pretty healthy this year, this is probably actually one of his healthiest years he's had in a while. But even when he finished the number 5 tight end, and tight ends are slim picking, and we're fighting and scratching and hoping tight ends will actually produce something for us real good. But he
Right.
finished the tight end. He finished the tight end number 5. So I think that even if he does, even with the age, I mean, yeah, I'm not going to draft him, at the top 3 rounds, like you just said. But I mean, if he's around in the 5th round,
Yeah.
even I'd say safely, I'd say 5th round, and if he's still there, that's probably when I would jump on board because
Right.
even you still got you still got at least 3 good years out of George Kittle because I mean if his body holds up, I mean, he could go at least 2 or 3 more years, my opinion.
Is he younger than Kelce?
No, yeah, actually, yes, he is younger than Kelsey. I think Kelsey's like 33.
Yeah, he's 33. And I think
Yeah,
Kittle's just hitting 30, right?
yeah, he's just hitting 30.
But to move on, it's kind of funny how we did our rankings because, like I said, your 9 is David, my 9
Mm-hmm.
is George, my 8 is Travis Kelce, and your 8 is Kyle Pitts. And I'm gonna go ahead and move up to 7 because these are all the same mix.
Right.
My 7 is Kyle Pitts, and your 7 is George Kittle. So I think we kind of agree on Kyle Pitts. It's just our orders are a little swapped around. I notice you don't have Travis down there, and I understand why. In some cases, Travis, even 33 years old, you still got to put him in the top 5. I would never draft him in a dynasty right now. I would, even if I drafted tight end early, I wouldn't take Kelce in a dynasty, not in a startup, definitely, because in a startup he's 33 years old. Unless you're going to take the championship, and in a startup draft you don't know if you're going to take the championship. You're building a team, and you have to. Yes, you need some veterans, but not that kind of veteran. Now, that gives it to someone else, yes, but there's so many other picks you could grab other than Kelce in a startup. Now, if I'm in a redraft and Kelce's there in the 4th round, I'd go to grab Kelce, which I doubt very unlikely that he's ever going to be left into the 4th round. I mean, most of the time when I see drafts, he's gone third round, and sometimes in the 1st round. I mean, he's just that guy. I mean, even at the age, no one's scared to take him.
I mean, when you're best friends with the greatest quarterback in the NFL, how would you not be excited to get him? I wouldn't be afraid to get him.
You got to think about it.
But
He was with, yeah. Now listen. Now he was with Kansas City before Patrick Mahomes thing. He was starting to develop. He
yeah,
was already good, and Patrick Mahomes came, and it
but
just
he just got better though.
no. He
I
was the
mean,
same. His stats never changed. He was always good. I mean, look at his stats, his history. I mean, his first year, yeah, he didn't play that much. His second year, he started banging out 700. yards, and then his third year was the same way. And then I think Patrick Mahomes came the next year or something like that. But he's always been a good tight end.
Yeah, he's cracked the top. Well, I mean, you also played with Alex Smith.
Yeah, that's the other
So,
quarterback. So
he had 2 years. Oh yeah, he had 2 years with Alex Smith, and he finished the tight end 9.
and all Patrick Mahomes did for Kansas City was take them over that step. That is what Andy Reid needed. He needed that quarterback. And when he got that quarterback, you got Chief Nation now.
Well,
And it's annoying.
here's the funny question:
All right.
Is it when you know how we always have this narrative of, well, with the Patriots dynasty, was it Brady or was it Bill Belichick? We kind of got that answered after Brady left and won the Super Bowl with Tampa, and Belichick has never even been close to the playoffs
Now,
after
see,
Brady left.
we could say that, but let's just say this. Let's take this perspective. If it wasn't for Belichick, Brady would never be Brady. And Belichick gave Brady his chance. Brady then took that chance and developed it and became more. Same way in Andy Reid. Andy Reid went out and drafted Patrick Mahomes, and he gave him that chance. And a lot of people had doubts of Patrick Mahomes. He showed out. He's proven himself. And, honestly, he could probably leave Kansas City and do the same thing Tom Brady did. And Andy Reid couldn't because Andy Reid coached for the Eagles. He had good teams, he had good quarterbacks, but could never put them to the over the edge. He finally got to Kansas City, and he's done it.
Well,
So
Andy Reid didn't have the quarterbacks with Philadelphia to get them over the hump.
no, but it's the coach that puts them in the position to excel, and
But
they
it's
give him
also
the guidance, and it's the
but
players
it's
that takes it all the way. Yeah, I mean, you got to talk about their football IQ. I mean, Tom Brady played ball smart. I mean, he wasn't. I mean, he didn't
yeah,
abuse
but
his body.
without Brady, there would be no 6 Super Bowls.
No, and that's what I'm saying. If Belichick never gave him the chance, you would have never seen the 6 Super Bowls. And if Andy Reid didn't give Patrick Mahomes his chance, you'd never see the Super Bowls that Kansas City's won. Now I'm
Now,
hoping that all ends soon for Kansas City. Not to be mean, so I don't want
yeah.
to offend any Chief fans, which I know some that are probably
Now,
already offended.
I don't know, but after they got the Marquise Brown being the speedster he is that
I
blow the top off,
know.
it's it's not looking too good, man. But
I think Houston has enough to get it. And we'll just have to see if they can pull it over the hurdle.
you need a I don't know what you drinking tonight, but you need to stop.
Hey, I'm drinking Kool-Aid.
Now, yeah, sure. But now here,
Coffee.
okay, so when I made this list and when I put Kyle Pitts as number 8, I'm gonna clarify. This was before the
Kirk
signing of
Cousins.
Kirk Cousins. Okay.
Yes.
So now I will be honest with you. If I could, we're going to update this later on down in the future and stuff. But when I update this, I'm going to go ahead and tell you I'm going to probably put Kyle Pitts ahead a couple of spots. But the reason why I put Kyle Pitts right there is, well, for one, the quarterbacks before Kirk Cousins got there were just, it was just a headache. I wanted to believe in Kyle Pitts so much, and he's a very talented player. And, I still want to believe in him because he's still young. He's only 23, and he's already been in the league for 3 years. He's
Yeah.
finished, even with the quarterback play of last year, he did still finish as the number 13th tight end in the league, even
Right.
with Ritter and Taylor Heineke. But in all honesty, I expect him, especially if Kirk Cousins comes. I believe Kirk Cousins is going to come back even with that Achilles, and I think he's gonna once he gets back into the rhythm, everything. I think he's still gonna be great and slinging that ball like he was with when he was in Minnesota.
Yeah. So let's just talk about Kyle Pitts. Even before Kirk Cousins got there, He was the number 13 tight end. Okay, so last year he only had 53 receptions, right? 83 targets, but he had 592. Oh, wait, no, I said that wrong. I'm sorry. 53 receptions, 90 targets, 667 yards. His average was 12.6. And look at who he had throwing to him. I mean, it was all over the place last year, and he still produced. And I believe, like what you said, it's like I'm looking at my number 2 right now, and I'm thinking, now I'm not saying I will put Kyle Pitts to number 2, but he definitely probably needs to be moved up. And the guy that I have at number 2 probably needs to come down a little bit because he's more of a redraft guy and not so much a dynasty because of age. But then, I mean, and that kind of goes into our number 6, Dalton Kincaid. He was 11th. And if you put Kyle Pitts and him together, I mean, it's a close race.
But now, here's the interesting part now. So, Kirk Cousins comes. We're excited.
Uh-huh.
That means Drake London's stock has went up.
Oh, definitely. He
And
has a chance to
then
shine.
and then now they also acquired Darnell Mooney as their number 2 wide receiver as well, which is very interesting. So
Yeah.
it makes me wonder where the Falcons are going to go with this. But I still believe. I know a lot of fantasy managers have been, they've been ups and downs with Kyle Pitts because every time they go to play him, he kind of doesn't do nothing. But, if you ever decide to bench him, he actually just does great that week. But I really believe he can break the top 10 this year, especially with Kirk Cousins being there.
And he stayed pretty healthy last year. He played all 17 games last year, so he did very good last year. And I'm really kind of, I'm not an Atlanta Falcons fan. I'm not a big Atlanta Falcons fan, but just what they got coming and what they have, and I'm
Dude,
excited to see what they do.
they're building something, man. I mean,
They're building.
You got Bijan and Tyler Algier in the back. You got Drake London, and on one side, you got Darnell Mooney on the other side, and you got Kyle Pitts as tight end. I mean, dude, they're building something.
Yeah, they're going in the right direction. I just think they need to get the right coach down there to put them over the edge. I don't think the guy they had there originally really. I mean, it's not that he's a good offensive coordinator. It takes a lot to get in the NFL and do that job. I mean, we sit there, we can say what we want to say about these guys because we're just fans, and sometimes we're cruel. But I respect anybody that's made it to that point because it's only a few that gets to do that. So I mean, I just think the way he was juggling it around was not what he could have done with it. And let's see what the next guy does. That's what I'm excited about. I can't wait to see what that offense is going to do next year. I mean, it makes me want to draft more Atlanta players. A minute there, I was like scared to touch any of them because you didn't know which one was going to play and who was going to play and what was he going to do with them.
Well, because Arthur Smith hates fantasy players. He hated the fantasy players. He hated the fantasy players, so that's the reason why he did what he did. He was, if you're a Star Wars fan, he was a Sith.
Oh, okay. I am a Star Wars fan, and I can see him being the Sith. Oh, I'm gonna go get my lightsaber. We're gonna have this one out. I'm gonna cut him in half.
We ain't got to worry about him now. He's with Pittsburgh.
Well, that's horrifying.
Well, not for Najee though.
No. Najee get the ball, and you never know. I mean, it might be exciting down there. I mean, they got a new quarterback. Kenny Pickett is gone. Whoa, do that little news notes out there.
Yeah, but the thing is, who are you throwing it to?
Because they traded their wide receiver to the Panthers, and there's your last week's question. One of the questions we had. Who's going to be the number one Panther
I have my
receiver?
answer.
Yes.
I have my answer.
He is the only one. Because Mingo ain't going to do it.
No, but it's crazy because they traded away their number one receiver,
Yeah, I
which
mean,
now, which now, I mean, if you're looking at the depth chart right now, George Pickens is their number one receiver. And all honestly, he kind of struggled against zone coverage, and the NFL runs zone coverage 80% of the time. And
yeah,
then,
I noticed he did.
and then, right, and then you go and sign Van Jefferson to a 1 year deal. And then your slot receiver is Calvin Austin, who you drafted a couple years ago. Now, not being biased or anything, I kind of hope Calvin Austin actually gets more opportunities and does a little bit more, just because I've been stashing him in my taxi squad for the couple of years now. So I just want to have hope and belief, but it's a
It's
long
always good
shot
to have
because,
hope and belief. That's all we can do.
but it wouldn't surprise me if they did go into the draft and actually get a receiver. Now, that would depend, the pecking order would depend on what round that receiver will be. Like, if you get a round, like, let's just say they wind up getting a first round wide receiver or a second round receiver, I would pretty much put him like right already at like the second spot, right behind George Pickens, unless they trade up and get somebody great. Then you could go back and forth between that. But if you get somebody third or fourth, then they could still be. They might be a slot receiver depending on their type of build, but they could also have a spot to be in a second as well. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how that receiving core turns out to be.
Yeah, so moving on to our next, we introduced a new person to our top 10. Well, actually, no, I already had Travis Kelce at 8. You added Travis Kelce at 5, but I introduced Trey McBride. Now, when Zach Ertz got hurt, McBride came out there and played. And he played great. And
Well,
and
I think I'm
we know now who the tight end for Arizona is, because Zach Ertz is no longer with Arizona. He
I'm
signed
gonna
a
go.
contract with someone else.
I'm gonna go ahead and tell you. I think I love Trey McBride more than you do.
Yes, you do. But I mean, he did very good. And I mean,
I
I
mean, he
think he did.
finished. He finished as the tight end number 7.
Yes, he did 7 with 825 yards. Total fantasy points was 201.
I mean, he
Uh,
had in week 8. He had literally a total of 14 targets. Then he had 5 targets, 9 targets, 7 targets, 9 targets, 9 targets, 11 targets, 8 targets, and
let's
I
see
mean,
here.
he was just getting targets. He had 106 targets.
Yes,
That
yeah.
is what you want in your tight end and receiver. You want to have somebody that has over 100 targets, because that just equals to fantasy points.
So I'm not sure. I can't remember when Zach got hurt. Uh, but it looked like game 8 is when. Well,
Yep,
actually, game 6 is
it
when.
was it was around week 6. In between week 6, week 8,
Yeah.
somewhere in
So
that ballpark.
week 6, he was a tight end 12. Then he went down to a tight end 20 against Seattle. But Seattle has a pretty good defense. Then Baltimore, he was a tight end 1, and then he dropped in Cleveland to tight end 27. Then in Atlanta, he jumped up to a tight end 2. So he definitely, in the San Francisco, the 49ers game, wow. He had 11 targets, 10
I'm
receptions,
I'm telling you,
102
I
yards, but no
Trey
touchdowns. The only
Trey.
touchdowns he's got was Baltimore, uh, Pittsburgh. Yeah, he only scored a few touchdowns, but yards,
If he
he
had,
was really good.
I mean, even with not only but getting 3 touchdowns, he still finished the tight end 7 with 106 targets.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't. It would be hard to really ask for more of that. If I could just literally get tight end 7 again and a tight end, I would still be extremely happy.
Yeah. I mean, that's just he did a phenomenal job this year. So We know he's the starter for Arizona. Moving on. So that's exciting. I know why you got Travis Kelce at 5. Now,
Mm-hmm.
number 4, we introduced 2 new players to our list.
All right, I know who I got, but who do you
All
got?
right. You got TJ Hockenson from Minnesota. And you're going to have to hear me out when I name this guy. So just don't fall over and say, what? I picked Isaiah Likely from Baltimore. The reason why
Oh,
is maybe I haven't,
hold up,
hold on, let me explain before you
hold up, hold
stop.
up. Before you go, did I hear that right?
Yes, you did.
Can you say that name for your player again, just to make sure I heard it right?
Isaiah Likely.
Okay. Okay.
What did
Now
I say?
excuse
Likely wrong or something? Is that what you're
now
worried about?
well now excuse me as I take my Tums for that acid reflex you just gave me.
Well, how dare you? I mean, this kid did a great job. He's only 23 and talking about young and didn't know that he had talent. So, and you say, well, how's that? And I'll tell you how that is. So, going to his game log here, just looking at it, when he took over after Mark Andrews went out, what do you think he did? It
I
didn't even
think
look like Mark
hey,
Andrews was
pretty good.
gone. Yes. Tight end 2, tight end 5, tight end 23, tight end 2, tight end 10. That was what he did.
I
Now I
get
know
that.
that's not a whole lot of games. I get it. But for a guy that's 23, 2 years into the NFL, as a tight end, he is showing high potential. Mark Andrews is an older guy. Yes, he's still going to be the main guy at Baltimore, hands down. And it's not going to be Isaiah Likely. But if I'm drafting in a dynasty, and I know this guy right here has got potential, and it's likely he will slide into a starter's job soon, I wouldn't mind having him on my bench as a backup, especially if I had Mark Andrews on my bench. So if Mark Andrews goes down, I have Isaiah Likely to back him up. I mean,
Okay. That still doesn't that
I think
still doesn't
I mean, I'm
that's
sorry
that's
if you could get tight end in the top 5 more than once,
look,
you have a high potential.
I would agree with you
Well, he was
if
ranked
Mark
higher. Okay, so you have that argument. I can go back to your Mayer. Your Michael Mayer's ranked 35. Isaiah Likely's ranked 25.
yeah,
There's a
but I'm not putting him in the top 5.
Well, that's true. And I maybe overexert. I maybe pushed him up too high because the last
Ex-
part of the season he was really great.
Especially with a guy who is, yeah, Mark Andrews, you say is older, but he's still only 28. And even with the injuries he had, he still finished the number 15th tight end of the year. So as long as Mark Andrews is still there, I mean, it would have to take another injury for Isaiah Likely to even get to 25 again. But
Yeah,
I,
he's
I
a
would
yeah.
I wouldn't put like I get it. I like Isaiah Likely too. I understand where you're coming from, but putting him at top 5, that's just a little steep in my opinion.
I think he should have probably been under. He should have probably been my number 9. I should have been more realistic.
I
I could say
I
that.
I
I could say that after
I,
we had this talk. I mean, after I look at it now, I can see him being a number 9. I will not put him at 10 because I think he's better than David Njoku. And that's just me. I would pick him over him. But
well, it took David Njoku like year 7 to finally have a breakout year. So
yeah. So I mean, I I think with the discussion, I'm in agreement with you. But let's go to TJ Hockenson. Now I have him ranked. You have him 4th. I just have him one up above that. I have him in 3. I'm not going
now
to tell everybody what your 3 is yet. Well, I already did, Mark Andrews. But
now keep in mind this was before the Kirk Cousins signing.
oh, so you
when I
wouldn't
put when I put TJ Hawkinson there, this was
yeah.
before the Kirk Cousins signing. Now I'm still going to keep him at 4, and the reason why is
He did well with that.
Sam Darnold is going to have to have a Thunder Buddy.
Yeah.
That's a Ted reference. I don't know if you saw that movie or not, but I know some of my people out there saw that movie. But he's going to need a best friend because over the years, we've all seen what Sam Darnold's done. He's got to throw it short before he just dies in the pocket. So I still think I don't think T.J. Hockenson is going to finish as tight end 4. Again, I may be wrong because like I said, it's just right now literally the starting quarterback for the Vikings right now is Sam Darnold.
So how many games
So
is
that
Kirk
doesn't.
Cousins out for? Let me see.
It was week 8.
Yeah, so
It
week
was
8.
yeah, because
Week
it was
8.
week 8 because he only played 85% of the snaps because he couldn't finish the game. So week 8.
Yep.
T.J. Hawkins still did good though, but that was also the combination of Joshua Dobbs and whatever the other quarterback carousel was.
Yeah, he was
I'm not
tight
saying
end 1, tight end 4.
I'm not saying he's not going to eat, but the reason why I'm saying he's not going to finish as a tight end 4 again is because T.J. Hawkinson is also coming back from a major injury, and
Yes.
he's probably going to be missing, I would say, at least the first 4 or maybe 5 games of the year. But I still put him there because even with that injury, I wouldn't mind still drafting T.J. Hawkinson, even though I wouldn't mind drafting T.J. Hawkinson, but I would make sure I had at least a tight end that was gonna start in his place for when he does return and starts getting back onto field ready and stuff.
Right. And there's really no explanation why you have Mark Andrews in 3rd. I mean, hands down, he's always consistent. He was always good. People are going to get hurt. Even Kelsey's got hurt. But when they come back, they still do what they do. I mean, yes, he's not in my top 10. He is in my top 15. And I respect him as a tight end. I think a lot of, I think when I ranked some of mine was due to the fact that I had some of them on my team and they did very well for me.
Bias.
So I kind of look at it like that. So you're number 2, you moved Trey McBride, and you're number 2. And now there's another one that's going to drop you off your seat. So are you ready for my number 2?
Hold on.
I'm drinking
All right, hit
heavily
me.
tonight. I am drinking very heavily. A lot of coffee. Evan
All right, hit
Engram.
me.
Evan Engram, Jacksonville. Is probably his best season. It's his
Oh
best season.
dear
He
God,
saved me in best ball, and I know that's not a reason to put him at number 2. And I told you in the beginning, I shouldn't have ranked him at number 2. I probably should have put him out of the top 10.
Okay, I look. I see why you wanted to put at number 2 because he finished as the tight end number 2 of the year. I get that, but in
He
order for me
also
to,
won me a lot of money, so I get that too. For best ball, not the other fantasy. Only best ball was he any good for me.
I get it, but I wouldn't go to 2 on Evan Engram.
Yeah.
I mean, he the past 2 years he did finish as number 5 and then the number 2. So I can see why you would put him in the top 10, but
And
number
he's
2,
29. For Dynasty, I should take him down a little bit. Maybe
that's
redraft. Redraft, he
the
can still stay in the top 5. Dynasty,
the
maybe not so much,
the
because that's where if you remember I said earlier, I think I made an error by putting him up there because I left Travis and Kittle down there because of age. Why do I have him up there because of age? What is the difference? There's no difference. Yeah, he was number 2. Travis Kelce was number 3. Kittle, he was number 5. I mean, and Kittle's the only one that had over 1,000 yards for receiving as a tight end, and he still was number 5. But I mean, Travis and Evan did a little bit more with their yards, I guess. Touchdown receptions. I mean, I'll tell you,
if it
Trevor Lawrence really threw him the ball. He was targeted 143 times, and receptions he had 114. He had 963 yards.
well, like I said before, if you can get over 100 plus targets, you're going to do great in
Yeah,
fantasy.
no matter who you are.
Yeah, the only reason why, yeah, you might want to bring him down is just really because of the age.
Yeah,
I mean, other than that, I can see why you would make the argument to be in the top 10. I can see why you would make the argument.
and I can
But
see your argument about Trey McBride being number 2. So I would probably take my Trey McBride, put him up in the number 2 spot, drop Evan right below Dalton Kincaid, but leave him above Kyle Pitts.
right, I mean,
That would fit. That would fit with the whole thing I was explaining earlier about age.
now
Um,
here's a question: if it's redraft, would you get Evan Engram or would you get Trey McBride?
if they were my 2 tight ends, and I'm fixing a draft, and last year I would have not picked Trey McBride. I would have got Evan Engram, but this year, if it was there, I would probably take Trey McBride. I'll be honest with you.
I
So that
well,
tells you where he should be in my rankings.
I'd be interested. I think I'm pretty sure Trey McBride is going to get picked before Evan Engram does.
Yeah,
But if you could somehow manage to get, let's just say if you did, you could, in my opinion, you can rock with Trey McBride being your number 1 tight end, especially after what we saw last year. I would be comfortable with rocking him as my tight end 1, and then I would be even more comfortable if I can make a turnaround and somehow manage to get Evan Engram too. Now that might be a little tricky to do, but if there's some way you can manage to do it, I could. That would probably be the best tight end situation.
yeah,
Unless there's probably some other situation, but that would be a really good situation right there, in my opinion. If you could snag both of them.
right. So that leaves us with the number 1 spot. And I think through this whole discussion, everybody should know who both me and Austin's number 1 is by now. If you hadn't heard through all the hints through the whole discussion, we talked about the guy several times. Let's go ahead and just blurt his name out. And yes, he was a rookie. And
Finally, a
Sam
rookie,
LaPorta.
a rookie
Wow.
tight end has
Wow.
come back.
And my curiosity is they did not hype him up like they're hyping Brock Bowers up. And I wonder if Brock Bowers is going to, is he going to be able to pass this guy? Because this guy, and I'm not saying Brock can't. Brock was like extraordinary in college. I mean,
Now,
I want to draft him on my fantasy team right now so bad, but I know where I'm at picking and who I'm picking. I'm not going to be able to get the guy. But
now,
it
I
depends on
will.
where he lands.
Let's just say if he lands with the Chargers, because that's where a lot of the predictions are and stuff. They get Brock Bowers. They traded away Keenan Allen to the Bears.
Why?
They cut Mike.
Why?
Your guess is as good as mine.
What is Hardball doing? He cut Mike Williams. He traded Keenan Allen. What is he doing with the Chargers? What is going on down there? I got to find out. I don't know. I'm confused.
I wonder if we can get a source of something that we can go undercover and see if we can get some details or something. Because I woke up this morning and I saw where they traded Keenan Allen. I was like, what are y'all
Yeah,
doing?
he got rid of his whole wide receiver core. And I know they got the number, 5 pick? Is it 5
Yep,
or 5?
it's 5.
So we know they're not picking. Well, Herbert's still there, right? I mean, he hadn't traded him off yet.
Justin Herbert. No,
Yeah.
he loves Justin Herbert now. But we're
Okay.
gonna trade his top offensive weapon, and then we're gonna cut this guy who's been hurt. Because literally,
So
real quick,
now I want to ask you a question before you go on. So is Joshua
okay.
Palmer going to be the guy for me now? Is he going to be that receiver? I mean, I have him on my bench, and he is the only receiver I know that's left at the Chargers. And I have I picked up. Now everybody goes, "Why do you have Joshua Palmer on your team?" This is a dynasty, okay, guys.
This is why, because Jim Harbaugh
So
comes in and says, Keenan, nah, you can go.
no,
Mike,
I
you
had him in
stay
my
hurt, you
taxi
can go.
squad initially, and I had to pull him out of my taxi squad, but I still ain't dropped him because he
Well,
hasn't
good
really
thing you
done
didn't.
much. No, I'm glad I didn't now because he was actually one of the ones I was debating about dropping. I think the only reason it saved him is I looked at his record last year. There was a couple times he was wide receiver 10. That was the best he done. And then that day when he done that, I think both Mike Williams and Keenan Allen was out of the game. So
So, in other words, if Brock Bowers goes to the Chargers, he would probably wind up being actually their number one target unless they draft or make a deal with somebody to get a receiver. But right
well,
now, as the way this depth chart looks, if they wind up getting Brock Bowers, he could easily be the number one target and easily be like Sam LaPorta if the Chargers do not get nothing or they just run the ball 90% of the time. That's always a possibility.
that
I mean,
is a possibility.
they got Gus Edwards because Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman loves the big build running back, so they went and got Gus Edwards. Now, I don't trust Gus Edwards being a damn workhorse, in my opinion, but
I believe they will
I,
bring someone else in tandem with him. I think he'll draft
we'll
someone
see.
else.
We'll see how much Jim Harbaugh loves Blake Crum. Because if they in the second round, if he comes around and he's available, we'll see how much Jim Harbaugh really loves Blake Crum.
I'm gonna give you a little surprise. I think the Cowboys will get Blake before the Chargers do. I think the Cowboys are heavy on him. And I just have this feeling that we don't see it yet. But I just think
Lord.
that is when I see Blake, he's a Michigan guy, or Michigan is what I would refer to him as. And now he's going to go to the Alice land, which is Dallas. Okay, so fly, Eagles, fly, baby. So I can see him down there playing. There, I told everybody who I'm a big fan of. I had to get it
Somet-
out. I had to go
sometimes,
there.
sometimes you make it unbearable to be your friend.
I know.
But look, okay, here, real quick.
I'm
So
gonna get
this is
smoked. No, there's a lot of Dallas fans at work, so I'm in trouble now. I need to calm down about that.
yeah, you need to watch yourself.
I
Anyways,
know.
see, here's the Chargers picks that they got. They got the first round. They got the fifth pick in the first round. They got the 37th pick in the second round. Then they have a third round pick, which is the 69th. Then they have two first rounders, which is the 105 and 110. Then they have a fifth rounder, is 140. A sixth rounder that is a 181. Then they have two seventh rounders. One's 2020, the 225th pick, and then the seventh rounder is the 253rd, which was a compensation pick.
Oh,
So the way I look at it, it kind of seems like Robert Bowers is going to go at the fifth,
and I can
and then
see it, and
there's
I think it would be a great pick for him.
now the real question is, depending on how the draft shapes up and stuff, the real question is, what is their 37th pick going to be? Are they going to go with the running back, or are they going to go with a receiver? Because
And there's
they need.
still, yeah, there's still a lot of free agents out there too, and running backs and wide receivers. So anything can happen in the next couple days. I mean, it's so
I,
crazy.
I know we didn't mean to make this almost like a that Chargers episode, but I mean,
We had to get it
it just
out. It had to
it
get
just
out. I mean, it unfolded all this week. You can't
it,
just let that be undone. I mean,
it just amazes me of what we witnessed, and we're just like, why?
well, see, when he was coaching Michigan, and I'm not trying to bring up college ball, but we will talk a little bit about that later on too. But I was watching him up at Michigan. I was like, what is this guy thinking? Yeah, I know he's made my life not very happy the last couple years, but prior, I remember every year we beat him. He couldn't beat the great Urban Myers, but he finally got one over on us, all because of other reasons. But
Ryan Day can't do it.
Ryan Day did it his first year. I mean, can't cut him out. His first year, he beat. Oh, don't do that now. Go Bucks. That's what I was saying.
Okay.
I will stand up and
Anyways.
start singing the sign, sing the fight song for you if you want me to. I mean, we're gonna
Please
get this
don't.
going. Oh, hey,
Please
hey,
don't.
don't tempt
We
me.
don't. We don't want to bore the fans here, so let's not do that.
I'm gonna bust off my little Ohio State shirt right now. We'll get this on.
All right. We got off track. Let's keep going
Okay.
with what you were explaining.
All right. So yeah, so that's all interested in what's going down at the Chargers. The more I look at that, I'm like, I don't know what he's thinking. But hey, he's a good coach. He coached the 49ers to a Super Bowl when he was previously in the NFL. He took a college team and won the national championship with the college team. Now he's back in the NFL. Harbaugh is no joke. Harbaugh is a good coach, and so is his brother. I honestly think, I honestly believe we're going to end up seeing him win a championship, and I just got to figure out how he's going to do it. So it's going to be interesting to watch. I definitely believe the Chargers might have a chance now. That's saying a
Well,
lot. See, I always thought
well,
yeah.
we're gonna have to see because that receiving room doesn't scream championship football.
Yeah, you're right. We'll have to see what he does, but it's early in the season. Season hasn't even really started yet, so there's a lot of action going on, a lot of maneuvers, a lot of players moving, a lot of pawns going here and there. So it'll be definitely just when the football season kicks off, it'll be definitely interesting to see what the Chargers have as a team. And I hope at least that I get out of this is Joshua Palmer becomes a wide receiver too. I would be happy with that. I don't think he'll be their wide receiver one by any means. But if I get him as a wide receiver too, he'd be a good little bench guy. Because I mean, I got DJ Moore. I'll have Marvin Harris. I have JSN. I mean, my receiving core would look pretty good.
Right. All right.
All right.
Now, real quick, because I know we're getting close to wrapping this up, and I still got to do the question of the day, but I want to do at least one or two keep trading cuts with you if you want to go for it.
Oh, I want to go for it. I had so much fun doing it last time. Let's do this. Oh,
All
one
right.
that hands up.
All right. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Keep trade cut.
All right.
Tight end edition.
Okay.
I'll give you three names. You know the game. So
right.
you have Trey McBride,
Okay.
Dalton Kincaid, and Kyle Pitts.
Ooh. Let me think about this.
Yeah.
I'm going to look at the names. All right. So the suspense is killing everybody. I will not tell you who I'm keeping first because I just give it all away.
Okay.
I will talk about, I'm not even going to say, well, once I tell you who I'm trading, you won't know who I'm cutting. So let's do the trade.
Okay.
I would trade Kyle Pitts.
Okay.
I would cut Dalton Kincaid, and I would keep Trey McBride. But there's a reason why. Trey McBride will finish in the top 5, hands down. I can see they're building something in Arizona on that receiving core, and it's scary. And if people don't realize that, I think I underestimated Kyle Murray. I think he finally realized what he's supposed to do there. So it's kind of getting scary down there. Let's see what he does with that receiving core. I mean, I was a downer on this guy because the way he come out his first couple of years and the way he carried himself, I didn't care nothing for him. And plus, he was an Oklahoma guy. I just wasn't all over it. And what I seen at the end, I'm scared to see what happens at the start of the season. So you got Trey McBride. And if he gets Marvin Harris or Malik Neighbors, whoever lands in their spot, that is going to be wow. And if you don't think so, let's wait and see. And I can tell you at the end of the season, you're going to say, wow, he was right.
Right.
I'm not saying they're going to win a Super Bowl. I'm not going to go that high, but
okay. I was about to say, I was like, where are you going with this?
I'm more. I'll tell you who I'm more. Maybe we'll talk later on of the 3 potential teams that we could pick for Super Bowl winnings.
All right. So I'm gonna give you one more.
All right.
All right. Here's the 3 names that I'm gonna give you:
Okay.
David Njoku, Cole Kmet, or Michael Mayer.
Okay. So you kind of not. Let's see.
I went a little bit softer with you on this one because I know
Yes, you did.
the last one I wanted to give it a mix up a little bit. I didn't want to be too hard and heavy on you this whole time. I
All
had
right.
it
So I'm
easy.
gonna go with the trade. I hate to say it, but I would if I had them 3 on my team and I had a choice. I would trade away Cole Kmet. I would keep
Oh,
David Njoku, and I would cut Michael Mayer.
and a dynasty league. Really? See, now you're thinking about it more.
Oh no,
See,
yeah.
see,
Okay, let me redo
maybe,
this. Let me redo this. Let me read.
maybe I made it harder for you than I thought I did.
Hold on here. This is what I'll do.
Okay.
I would keep Clement,
Okay.
and I would trade David Njoku, and I would still cut Michael Mayer.
There you go. There
Yeah,
you go. That's what I wanted to hear.
but I think. Well, no, he had a lot because of Joe Flacco.
See,
So
I made it. I thought I made it easy for you, but it turned out to be a brain teaser.
yeah,
All right. So now we got keep try to cut out of the way. The last thing I'm going to throw out there is the question of the episode.
go right ahead.
On my question of the episode for this one, it's more of opinion, fact more than anything. But the question of the episode is: when is it too early to draft a tight end?
Ooh,
When is it too early to draft a tight end?
and this,
There's so many speculations of you got people who draft some in the 3rd round, like the Kelce's and stuff, and you got some that wait all the way to like round 8 or 9. But I'm really curious of what everyone else thinks in the comments about what they think is too early to pick a tight end in a draft. It could be redraft, it could be dynasty, because any way you go, they kind of fall in the same line of the tight end rounds, in my opinion. But I want to hear what everybody else thinks.
yes, and I think I already told everybody my opinion. Not till the 4th or 5th round.
You did.
So I was pretty clear on that, and I've been pretty consistent over the years. I mean, I play 3 in Yahoo, 3 in Sleeper, and then I play that one in ESPN. So, and every one of them, even on the redrafts, I always wait till about the 3rd, 4th, 5th round before I pick a tight end. It's been habit. Never been that tight end grabber. Don't build a team around a tight end. I always build it around a quarterback or a running back.
Wide receivers, baby.
Wide receivers. I think there's more wide receivers out there than any position. So you could build a nice, decent receiving core versus running backs and
You know what?
quarterbacks.
Screw running backs.
Nowadays, that's what everybody else says. Why not? Oh, before we end this episode, I just want to throw one out there. I meant to bring him up in our wide receiver rookie, and I forgot to, but I just want to throw it out there. I want to know what your take is on Luke McCaffrey because I kind of misjudged him, and I watched him, and I looked back at Christian McCaffrey, and I looked at how much we misjudged him, and I'm like, honestly, I don't think he's a guy we should pass up. I believe we got another one of them Hall of Famers coming that no one knows exists yet. So,
Whoa. Now, you're not just saying that because he has the McCaffrey name, are you?
no, I'm talking about his play.
Oh,
After I started watching some more tape on him, I'm like, why don't I have him in my top 10? Why did I leave him out?
well, I don't think you're the only person that doesn't have him in his top 10.
I know he didn't play
I
with a
think,
big school and didn't look at him that much, but schools don't matter. I mean, Travis Kelce, Cincinnati. Now that's a big school, but back then it was Cincinnati. It was a non-power 5 school. I mean,
Where did Luke McCaffrey play at? He played at Rice.
yep.
He's 6'2". That's
Yep.
a good height. That's a good
Yep.
height for a receiver.
He runs faster than Christian McCaffrey. His time.
Oh yeah, he ran a 4.46 in the combine. He might be a sleeper.
I think he
He's
is.
he's probably one of them sleeper receivers. I mean,
And I think he'd be one of them receivers they use as like in multiple positions. They won't just use him as a receiver. They'll throw the ball to him behind him and have him do run plays too. I mean, I think
do you
he's
think
a whole
do you,
package like Christian.
or do you think it's far fetched if we compare him to Romeo Dobbs?
This early, yes. I wouldn't throw him up there yet. But he should have been in my bottom 10. I really feel like I cheated the guy after I looked at him. And a lot
Well,
of
you
it
know,
is go
some
ahead.
people say that some people say that this is kind of crazy in my opinion, but I've heard some people say compare him to how Puka Nakua played,
Oh, that's
especially
good.
when he was in college. And we all know how Puka Nakua turned out because
Oh yeah.
he was one of those that honestly didn't even think about until all of a sudden he just exploded.
Yeah. Sorry, I jumped off the subject. I think we go ahead and wrap it up. That's crazy.
Yeah,
You
let's wrap
gotta
this
reel me
up,
back
baby.
in sometimes. I get way off.
Let's wrap this up.
All right. If you like the content, please hit the like button. Please subscribe. And sharing is caring.
Please
Ain't that
share
right?
because
Yes.
you gotta share the love. That's how we make the world better.
We're slowly growing. This we're getting there. This will be our let's see. This will be our
It'll be our
eighth ep.
sixth.
No, eighth. This is our
Really?
eighth. Yes, because we got the 2 wide receivers, and then this will be our 8th episode. So I
That's right.
yeah, because we jumped in and we did the 2 free agent ones because we wanted to.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
So the next show we're going to cover the tight end rookies, and we'll see you guys next time. Remember, hit the like button and subscribe. Don't forget about us.